Welcome back to the Business Warroom. I'm your host, Vinny G. On today's episode, I want to ask you the question, are you making this pricing mistake in your business? So are you making the pricing mistake that 93% of service business owners are making? If you price your jobs for what you think is a lot of profit, but when you complete the job, there's not as much money in your bank account as you think there should be, then this episode is going to be very important. See, when you price your jobs, if you get all the costs and then slap a 20, 30, or even 40% margin on top and think that's your profit margin, then this is costing you big time. That mistake is confusing a markup with a gross profit margin. So let's jump in and see how this works. When you do a project, you've got the cost, right? The cost of actually doing the project, which we call the cost of sales. Cost of sales is your labor, your materials, and any subcontractors that you might use. Let's say you're a contractor and you're doing a small kitchen alteration. The cost, let's say, is $10,000. Then you've got the quote or the price that you give the client, or what we call the sales price. Let's make it $13,000. Now, to calculate our gross profit, we take off the sales price, then we take off the cost of sales. That gives us what? The gross profit. In this case, it would be $13,000 subtracted from $10,000, giving us a gross profit of $3,000. So how does this translate into the markup and the margin? Well, your markup is a formula. It's gross profit divided by the cost of sales. In this case, $3,000 divided by $10,000 multiplied by 100. That'll give you a percentage of 30%, which is pretty simple, right? But is that our profit margin? Well, it's not. Our profit margin is actually figured out by understanding the gross margin. The gross profit margin is the gross profit divided by your sales. Now, in this case, that's $3,000 divided by $13,000 multiplied by 100, which gives us 23%. 23% is what you get to keep. It's not the 30% we thought we were getting with our markup. This explains why often when you price jobs, you think there's a lot of profit in it. But when you actually complete the job, the money's not in your bank account. And the relationship between markup and margin is a mathematical one. Your markup is always going to be higher than your gross margin. So a 30% markup will give you a 23% gross margin. A 43% markup will give you a 30% gross margin. And a 100% markup will leave you with a 50% gross margin. Now, the key is to use gross profit margin for pricing because it can completely change the profitability of your business and have a huge impact on the quality of life for you as well. So how to implement gross margin versus markup is the question. The first thing to do is to set a target gross profit margin. For example, aim a 55% plus for your maintenance and servicing work. Make sure you've got a target, and that's what you aim for before you pull the trigger on any quotes or invoices. Now, the second thing is to back costs of all the jobs you do and figure out what gross margin you're actually hitting. Once you've done that, you can compare the jobs. You can go back to them and see why they worked out or why they didn't. And from there, make some decisions and changes for the next time. As I said, investigate the reasons for those variances and correct them next time. Now, if you want some extra help with your pricing, I've got a one-on-one session that'll help. It's called the Pricing Master, and it's designed to make pricing easy. I'll teach you how to enter costs and get out the price you need to charge to hit the margins you want, and also get some benchmarks for pricing depending on the type of jobs you do. If you'd like a one-on-one, click on the link in the description or the Instagram bio, enter your details, and it'll set it up straight for you. Getting your pricing right is massive, so make sure you're pricing for the right margins. It'll change your business. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the Business Warroom Podcast. Go on over to YouTube and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook. See you all on the next episode. Peace.